Welcome to Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. Your day weather podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Check them out at cowboystatedaily.com. The trend will continue to be warmer across most of this region. We'll continue to have thunderstorms for the northern and eastern areas. We'll show you why. But for today and tomorrow, the thunderstorm coverage and the thunderstorm activity compared to where it's been will be lower, but it's not zero, except on western slope areas where the air is much warmer, more dry, and more stable. So enjoy some summertime temperatures, something we haven't had a lot of this summer so far, but certainly it is going to be warmer in many areas for the next 3 days. And that Hudson Bay low will push cooler air towards us Friday through Sunday east of the divide. It's not as big of a cool surge as what we had last weekend, but it will nonetheless cool things off, and it will become a trigger for showers and thunderstorms as that pushes through. Now, after that happens, we actually see some movement in that Hudson Bay low, and this may allow summer heat to get better established next week in many areas. It's taking a while, but some bona fide warmer summertime conditions like you'd expect to have happened maybe 4 weeks ago would start to get established and maybe hang around a little bit longer. So we see that next week, and we'll talk about that. And we also see that monsoonal moisture finally creeping in over time, not rushing in, but creeping in. But it is going to come in a little bit more northward and further into the U.S. as we get into next week. Shot here from the Thomases up by the Lusk area. Now, this happened on July 8th. There has been a series of thunderstorms going back this weekend that developed in east central Wyoming, became very severe, and hit eastern areas of Wyoming and especially parts of western Nebraska with a lot of hail this weekend, a lot of crop damage, a lot of bad things. But we will see a little bit less of these dark, threatening clouds over the next 2 or 3 days. The satellite image this morning, a couple of things to point out. We have this area of low pressure and moisture up here in southern Canada, up across the Dakotas and eastern Montana. That is going to be an area of activity today. That moisture will lead to showers and thunderstorms. Here's a mesoscale convective complex, a cluster of thunderstorms going through Oklahoma right now, heading into northeast Texas. See this swirl of clouds? This is that Hudson Bay low that we've been talking about here for quite a while. Still spinning around up there, sending cool air south. But you can see a lot of clear skies kind of elsewhere in between these systems here. And the radar this morning showing that complex of thunderstorms very well in Oklahoma this morning. And then also that arch of showers and thunderstorms over the western Dakotas, eastern areas of Montana, and far northern areas of Wyoming. As we take a look at the satellite imagery down in Central America and Mexico, and we'll kind of keep track of this, but this is the area here, these grayer looking clouds. This is that monsoonal moisture nosing its way up a little bit further north towards Arizona and getting in a little bit closer. These areas of enhancement you see right here are thunderstorms forming overnight and early this morning in that deeper monsoonal moisture. So this is something to watch in the coming days. What you need is some type of stronger circulation in the U.S. to pull this moisture up, and that's why next week we'll show you here in a moment that monsoon moisture will get a bigger push north. Right now, this is where we are at 500 millibars, or the weather at 18,000 feet. We have the hot high pressure over the desert southwest, but we still have a rather suppressed jet stream still occurring across most of North America with that big low up there in Hudson Bay. So really not a lot different, but this high is bulging a little bit more to the north, and that's allowing the heat to push up a little bit more to the north, but still having a hard time getting up into the northern areas. And you'll see that with the temperature anomaly today. So you can still see up north and across Canada where that battle between air masses is taking place between the high and the low, but the high pushing a little bit more heat a little bit further to the north. But temperatures up in the northern plains, again today, will be far below average, with the heat in the southwestern United States and along these slopes of the Rockies building in a little bit more. Now for the month of July, I've had several comments about it's been cold this summer. Well, it was in June, and look at July's temperature anomalies. Pretty interesting. We have this area of above average temperatures in the far west, but the coastal areas of California have been cooler than average in July so far. But this large area dominating the central parts of Canada and the central parts of the United States, for the month of July so far, very, very cool relative to average. Now, we're going to erase a lot of this here in the coming weeks as temperatures start to trend back to average. But this Hudson Bay low, at least here for a little bit longer, is going to continue to keep the coolness towards the middle part of the country. This is where the thunderstorm activity is going to be today. That area I just showed you up north is going to be an area of active afternoon and evening thunderstorms, and then kind of not a lot in the middle, but still some. You can see here in eastern Colorado and western Kansas, and then down here in Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas with that monsoonal moisture. And this is where the severe weather threat is going to be today. So we'll have to watch out for some heavy thunderstorms across that area in yellow. But the white area, drier air pushing in, leading to reduced thunderstorm activity. This is where we're going to be tomorrow. Again, kind of in the same areas, but not as widespread in Colorado and Wyoming as the thunderstorms have been lately. And the severe weather goes more towards the Midwest and the Corn Belt. And the Corn Belt is going to be getting more rain. The rain in the Corn Belt has really picked up, and we do see that trend continuing going forward. Now, by Sunday, here's that Hudson Bay low again. It's just still not going anywhere, and it is pushing a little bit to the southwest. So starting Friday, and heading through Sunday, cooler air gets backed up against the divide again, while the heat is bottled up in California, the Great Basin states, where you normally expect it to be very hot during the summer season. That's where the heat's going to be. So with that front backing in, that's going to be a trigger for shower and thunderstorm again. That activity will be up along the divide and into the high plains, and we'll need to watch out for some possibly strong thunderstorm activity developing during that stretch. But as we go forward, we're going to see that high build again northward. But temperatures get cool on Friday. By Friday afternoon, that cooler air pushes in right here, and you can see that it's pushed up right against the divide areas and pushing further south across the plains. But the heat continues here in the southwest. Now, by next Thursday, so this is a little bit more than a week from now, what I'm showing you here is a classic pattern that we do see develop late July and into early August. It's the pattern that brings summer heat, but it also is a pattern that is the right placement of the high pressure system to draw subtropical moisture into the west. When we start to see this high building a little bit further east, notice these wind barbs. This shows the direction of the winds at 18,000 feet. Notice as the winds go clockwise around the high, the winds travel across the Gulf of Mexico, through Mexico, and then they curve back into the United States. So that moisture I showed you over Mexico has easy access to get drawn in. And what happens is this builds heat. This builds heat in the Rockies, the Great Basin, and the Southern Plains, and it builds heat into the parts of the Corn Belt and many areas of the Midwest. So you get that higher humidity air and that heat coming on in. So you get into that pattern of more persistent summer heat, but you also get, and there it is, there's the heat. These are the temperature anomalies by next Wednesday. So yes, summer weather's coming, but you also have that ability of the clockwise flow to bring that moisture in, and the precipitable water by next Thursday is showing that. Sometimes you might hear about what's called the ring of fire around these high pressure ridges during the summer season as that subtropical moisture gets brought in, and you have an active pattern of afternoon and evening and overnight thunderstorms develop along the edges of the high pressure ridge. You get what's called a ring of fire. Those thunderstorms blow up late afternoon and evenings. And as we go into late July, the last 10, 12 days of July into early August, well, that is kind of when we normally see that uptick in monsoonal thunderstorm activity. And there it is. You can see that we talked yesterday, the western slopes of Colorado, areas west of the divide into Utah, the monsoon moisture gets pushed a little bit more north. And that'll be something to keep an eye on heading on into the early parts and the middle parts of next week. And there's your ring. And then what'll happen is those thunderstorms become nocturnal and head into the Corn Belt and Midwest after forming in the Rockies first. Have yourself a very good Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.